Hello, welcome to another Petrolblog lockdown video. This is probably as close as the channel's ever going to get to a new car review because, as you can see from the car on the left, the Mitsubishi L200, it's a 69 plate, dude. So it's actually quite new, whereas the car on the right is a 2012. So that is the newest car on the Petrolblog fleet by a long shot, and that is actually a diesel car long-term. I've been running that for a few months for diesel car. But it's going back in maybe 10 days or so. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to just kind of waffle on a bit really about our likes and dislikes of the two pickup trucks, and which one we'd keep. There is another reason why I'm doing this, apart from the fact that there's nothing on TV today. And that's also because new goats have arrived. We have new baby goaties. There are 5 of them. And if you stick around on this video long enough, we will introduce them to you because they are quite cute. Okay, so the two pickup trucks, both double cab pickup trucks, both powered by a 2.5 litre diesel engine, turbo diesel engine, both very similar. This is a 2012 D-Max, so it's right at the very start of when these cars came out. It replaced the Rodeo, as you probably know, whereas that's a Mitsubishi L200 Series 6, a heavily revised version of the Series 5. And quite similar cars actually, both 400 newton meters of torque. That's got 163 horsepower, that's got 150 horsepower. That one should have a 3.5 ton towing limit, but actually when this first came out it was only rated at 3 tons. So that's got 3.5 tons. So if you've got a later version of this, you'll get the same 3.5 ton towing weight. So very, very similar cars. Big difference in price. If you buy, that's a top of the range Barbarian X. So that's as top of the range as it gets in the L200. That's pretty much fully loaded, and it weighs in at about 38,500 pound retail. So not a cheap vehicle, almost at the 40,000 pound premium tax level, but not quite. Whereas this, a 2012 D-Max, somewhere between 12 and 15,000 pound now on the used car market. So it's held its value pretty well actually. These are in massive demand, especially around these parts. Forestry Commission, Dartmoor Rangers, vets, builders, Southwest Water. A lot of people drive D-Maxes. And what's interesting about these cars, so you have to excuse, it's a very long shadow day, which after the rain we've had recently, I'll quite happily take a long shadow day. Yeah, what was I saying? When a Defender went out of production, these suddenly became very popular amongst Defender owners, wanting sort of a back to basics, utilitarian, hose down kind of pickup truck. No thrills really. It's kind of, I would liken it more to the L200 rather than anything lifestyle. It's not a competitor to the Ford Ranger. It's not a competitor to something like an Amarok. It's a hard-working, tough as old boots commercial vehicle, really. I mean, that's what Isuzu is all about, isn't it? Commercial vehicles. This is the mid-range Yukon. So it's top of the range is the Utah, and that gets things like parking sensors and a better sound system and leather, I think, as well. So this is the mid-range Yukon. So it's a good halfway house between being stripped back and I'm not going to use the word luxurious because it's far from luxurious. And do you know something? I know this is probably the least exciting member of the Petrolblog fleet, and it's not the kind of car you subscribe to this channel for. I get that, I grant you that, but actually every fleet needs something like this, something that will work in all weathers, something that will get his fleet out of trouble if they're stuck. And it has actually towed the ZX out of well, not floodwater. Well, it was floodwater coming up to the bottom of his wheels, and there's a long story which I come on to when we do the ZX video, but it actually saved the ZX from, well, disaster, terminal disaster. This is the kind of vehicle that only gets washed maybe once a year if it's lucky, maybe twice a year tops. And I washed it yesterday, and the paintwork is fabulous. It was caked on, and it needs a bit of a. Actually, no, it doesn't. Not too bad at all. It's actually brilliant paint, better than the L200 paint actually, thicker paint. And it scrubs up nicely. I think it's a good looking thing. It's got a Truckman canopy, which was around about £1,400 plus VAT when it was new. So it turns it obviously into a double cab pickup, into a double cab lifestyle vehicle really. And we've had everything in the back of this. We've had dogs, sheep, goats, an entire kitchen I think. We've had a lot of stuff in there. I mean, it's just literally hose down, isn't it? Stuff everything in there, hose it down, sweep it out, you name it, it's been in there. It's a good old unit. as I said in the last video, we're going to put gas struts on that because it desperately needs them. I mean, if anything, the only tatty thing on the car really is the truckman canopy. It's starting to sort of fall apart. That needs to be sorted out. But the actual D-Max part of the car is doing really, really well. Yeah, the interior is very, very workmanlike. And a lot of people criticise Japanese cars' interiors for their, well, should we call it some hard plastics, which is the most overused cliche on any new motor in new review. But actually, the good thing, as I've always said in reviews, hard plastics last longer. You know, they're not going to get, I don't see why you'd want soft touch plastics, plush materials, Alcantara in a car that's going to be knee deep in mud most of its time with goats climbing on it. And this does that job really well. Seats are comfortable. Oh yes, I mean you could do a few more luxuries. I'd like heated seats, but that's a nice to have. It does its job really well, and you can see it's commercial vehicle routes because it's not short of cup holders. I like these cup holders especially. They double up as kind of little trays or cup holders. So a little bit of cup holder porn there for you cup holder lovers. Big door bins as well, again for more cup holder action. And there's even cup holders in the centre here. So many cup holders, and actually, now I think about it, I think there's cup holders in the back here. Look at that. It just does the job. And you can see this has been used and abused. I mean, I say looked after it. That doesn't look like it's been looked after, but it is the workhorse of the fleet. This is doing the stuff so that Fran doesn't have to do this kind of stuff. And it's actually, yes, it's a bit bouncy because these pickup trucks are bouncy when there's no load in the back. So the best thing to do is talk to the local farmer and get loads of potatoes and stick them in the back. And once they go off, chuck them out. That's what most people do. Actually, nobody's ever done that ever, but there's an idea. And this was actually, when we bought this, what was it, 2013, 7 years ago? It was a one business owner vehicle, and it'd done like 60,000 miles in the first 3 years. It was owned by a veterinary supplies company, so it just charged up and down the country visiting vets. So most of its time was spent on the goats. Now you wouldn't start bouncing off that, would you? Because I think you're to blame for the 406 bumper. Yes, you with those horns. And this is the goat that, well, do you want to see what it does to my boots? Let's see. Look, my boots are there if you want them. Look, boots. Hello. As I said before, this is the kind of rubbish you get on Petrolblog. Oh, here we go. Live action butting. Is it going to be live action butting? Stick around long enough. Yes, we're thinking about it. Here it goes. Coming to you live from a field in Dartmoor. You got on camera shy. Normally, just watching the other goat while it takes a fancy to the wheel arch. Hello. You just don't get this kind of footage on any decent channel. Hello. Can we get a stream close up of a goat's nose? Yes, look at that. Well, the camera does well, doesn't it? David Attenborough, eat your heart out. Look at this. Very horny. Anyway, can I move on? I can't remember where I was now. You've lost my train of thought entirely. So yeah, it's been a really, really good car. And all we've had to spend out on it is maintenance. And oh yeah, I was talking about the veterinary supply company. So it was really lightly used. Most of its time spent on motorway, which is no bad thing for a diesel engine. 60,000 miles on a diesel engine. And I remember, all I know is this bonnet has had paint, presumably because of stone chips, because everything else is original. So I would imagine. I'm not so worried about this car, because if this ends up with horn prints, I can sort of write it off as a fleet accident. But the L200 isn't mine. Please be careful. So yeah, that is the D-Max. It's going for the MOT. The reason it's been washed is because it's we're going to take it in for its MOT next month or next week, because it's been off the road for lockdown really, because we've had the oh my god. You could be watching a career-ending goat manoeuvre here, because if I have to explain to the Mitsubishi press office that it's been butted by a goat, oh goodness me. So I'm in two minds now whether to stop recording and move the car. I don't want to shoo you away. Look at this, goat eye. I don't want to shoo you away because that's not the way we do things around here. This is your paddock after all, but being the operative word, I don't really want you on the car. Oh God, I think my boot's going to be aimed for it now. You really don't want my boot today. Normally you take a very big fancy to my boot. Oh God, I mean... Oh, here we go. Oh, go. Oh my goodness me. Never work with children, animals and goats and cars, as my career advisors once told me. Anyway, I'm going to move over here to say hello to Kitty. Kitty, don't tell the others, but Kitty's my favourite. All right, Kitty. Hello. Yes, you're my favourite. Anyway, so that is the D-Max. Let's move on to the L200, which is, as I say, as good as you can get in L200 circles. The only option on this is the canopy, which I'm going to have to just go to my notes a minute, because I think it's £1,800 plus VAT, maybe more. Sorry, £1,600 plus VAT. So that is the only option on this, and obviously it turns it into almost like an SUV like rival, doesn't it, once you've got them on the back. Very popular again round here. L200s are very popular. Not so much this one, because I don't know if it's very Devon, the styling on this thing. I think the L200 in Barbarian X is a bit showy for Devon. Turn up in a Devon pub in this and the local boys are going to laugh at you. It's very lifestyle, probably a bit too lifestyle. I mean, it's got things like what I would call toilet lights. You know, in toilets in cities when they've got these lights on to stop drug dealers, drug users. That's what the lights remind me of in this. I don't think I'd necessarily want blue lights, blue sill plates on my pickup. And the footwells light up blue as well. You can see it a little bit more down there, look. I'm not sure that's a good touch. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, answers on the postcard to the usual address, or send in a fax to the usual number. But they're everywhere. No, you get them in the back as well. Oh no, you don't. No, there's blue lights at the back, not blue. Yeah, you get blue lights to show how much dirt you've collected in your paddocks. So yeah, I don't know if I like that or not. And the other thing, well, actually no, they are really good seats. They're heated seats in the Barbarian X, and they're moulded to look like a six-pack. It just feels like you're sat on a rugby player all the time. Well, it feels like you're sat down on Jason Statham, which is a bit unsettling, really. But they look good and they feel good. It's also got a heated steering wheel, which is one of those little touches that I could never live without, even though none of my cars have got it. It's just a really nice thing to have. And actually, the interior, it's still got the same hard plastics, as you can see, but it's a little bit softer. Everything feels a little bit. I can't believe I'm doing this test. You can tell it's a new car review. What I need to do in a minute is put a banana in this to do the banana test. What I will say is you can fit in two pictures of a Mark II Vauxhall Astra in Wainfleet in the L200 glove box, which is the kind of consumer advice you don't get on any other channel. But it's another cliche coming out. It's a very nice place to be, and it actually you feel slightly higher up in the L200. It's more of a commanding driving position, not by much, but it just has that kind of SUV perch feel like that most people seem to like these days. Jumping into the load area, evidence of goats. And Mitsubishi press office, if you are watching this, which I doubt you are because very few people do, this is the L200 load cover. So actually we protected the L200 wipe clean floor with a D-Max matte. So it's all good in the hood. And what is good, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, what is good is this car does pass the sprout tree test, which is the Petrolblog's patented practicality test. If you can fit a sprout tree in the back, it's a good car. And this car does pass that test, like the Zara VTS. Oh, that's a really good point. See, look, bit of difference. This comes down. It's so much better on gas struts. It's got one gas strut down here, and it makes such a difference. It makes it so light. You can do it with one finger. Look, one finger jobby. As you to the Bishop. Look, one finger and she's closed. Everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. And we're going to retrofit that to the D-Max for what it's worth. I think I'm digressing a lot. What can I say? How can I wrap this up before I go and show you the goldies? Because that's what we call goats. We call them goldies. Economy-wise, we get around about 32 out of the D-Max, which I don't think is too bad. Officially, I think it's meant to do 36. And we tend to get 32, which I don't think is too bad. The L200, officially 29. We're getting there or thereabouts, maybe 28. The big difference, obviously, is that's got an automatic box. I don't know if I didn't point that out. That's got an automatic box, whereas that's got a 6-speed manual. So you will get better economy especially on the motorway in the L200. The ride quality, probably slightly better in the L200, little less bouncy. Having said that, it does suffer from that horrible trait of woolly steering. Again, I'm not a road test, so I don't know the technical terms, but you have to make tiny adjustments when you're cornering. It's very, very vague steering, especially at the dead ahead. And you take your eye off the road for a split second and you find you're not quite in the same position you were a second ago. Whereas that's a little bit more direct. Steering's a little bit meatier in the L200. Don't get me wrong, it's not a driver's car in the slightest bit. But it feels a little bit more mechanical, a little bit more... I was trying to think of the word, engineered. Subaru has that feeling. When you drive a Subaru, it feels well engineered. It feels almost mechanical. The D-Max has that feel to it. The L200 less so. It just feels the quality doesn't feel quite as good. It's the perceived quality is really good on the L200. It kind of impresses you with its kit and its styling and its alloy wheels and its Barbarian X and its Johnny Wilkinson seats. Whereas this just relies on its good old-fashioned workmanship. Workmanlike. It's just a good, honest machine. And we struggle to find anything to replace it. We've done a Defender. We did that before, and we wouldn't swap this for a Defender now. It's kind of part of the fleet. It does the hard work, so the rest of the fleet doesn't have to. That's it. I've got no idea if any of this is any good, or if it's ever going to see the light of day, because this isn't what you signed up for. You signed up for £200 of Frans and £100 Lagunas and £300 Camrys. By the way, the Safran was washed today, and it looks fantastic. 2020's been a pretty miserable year, but I own a Safran, and that makes life very, very good. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to wander down to see the new goats, because we cannot let this video finish without seeing the new goats. So we'll go and see them. They'll probably be asleep, but walk this way. Okay, I feel a little bit like David Attenborough now, because I was going to say I'll sneak in to see if they're asleep, but that sound suggests that they're not asleep. And as we go around the corner here, we see little goats who've come to say hello. Now, aren't they the cutest things ever? Look at them. I dare not go in because they climb over you. Basically, humans are climbing frames. The goats. Look at you. Yeah, you're cute. You're now live. Not live. That'd be lying. But you are now on Petrolblog YouTube channel for the world to see. And can I just point out that you're not allowed to use cars as climbing frames? No, definitely not 406 coupes. I know it's nearly feeding time, and you're telling us that it's nearly feeding time. Yes, I know. Now, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to get my way in terms of names, because if I had my way, we'd have Fluence, Laguna, Clio, McGann, and Velsatis. Or, as Russell Wallace said on Twitter, Valsatis, which I think is a very good name. Valsatis. But we're not calling them them. That one there is my favourite one. I've inherited that one. That's Parsnip. You heard it here first. Yes, look at you. Aren't you the cutest thing ever? Yes. I don't like the way you're trying to get out. I know, it is feeding time. But that's it. That is for Petrolblog's rubbish YouTube video. Do you want to have the last word? You do? Right, so can you say one thing for me? Say thank you for watching. You say thank you for watching? No? And can you say stay safe? Anyone say that? Thank you for watching. Stay safe.